The elite of ancient Egypt didn't know that the very water they worshipped was melting them from the inside out. They called it a curse. We call it a microscopic predator. While the pharaohs draped themselves in gold and lapis lazuli, a silent, biological demolition crew was dismantling their vascular systems, turning their internal organs into a landscape of scar tissue and stone. This wasn't a punishment from the gods for disturbing the dead. It was a brutal physical invasion that transformed the highest nobility of the Nile into living, breathing petri dishes. You are about to enter a world where the line between ancient myth and forensic horror disappears. The Nile was the lifeblood of the empire, but its warm, stagnant shallows held a terror that no army could fight. Schistosoma. To the naked eye, it is a simple flatworm. To the human body, it is a ghost that enters without a sound.
When a priest stepped into the river for a ritual cleansing, thousands of microscopic larvae, cercariae, detected the heat of his skin. They didn't need a wound or an opening. They possessed a specialized cocktail of elastase enzymes designed to literally dissolve human tissue on contact. Within seconds, they melted through the dermis, bypassed the nervous system's pain receptors, and slipped into the bloodstream. The victim felt nothing but a cool splash of water, unaware that their countdown to internal liquefaction had just begun. Once inside, the biology of this curse becomes a masterclass in internal sabotage. These parasites are not aimless travelers. They are biological navigators with a singular, grim destination, the portal vein of the liver. Here, they thrive on a constant supply of nutrient-rich blood, mating and beginning a relentless production cycle that would make any modern plague seem merciful.
These worms release thousands of eggs every single day, each one armed with a sharp lateral spine designed to tear through capillary walls. The most shocking forensic evidence found in mummies reveals a biological anomaly that would have terrified the ancient world. Egyptian men, including royalty, were documented as having male menstruation. In their records, it was often seen as a sign of fertility or a strange rite of passage. In reality, it was a biological catastrophe. The parasite's eggs were shredding the lining of the bladder and the urinary tract from the inside. Every time a nobleman urinated, he was passing blood and shredded tissue, a slow, agonizing leak of his own life force caused by thousands of microscopic daggers moving through his softest tissues. The body's attempt to defend itself only accelerated the ruin. The immune system, unable to kill the calcified eggs, did the only thing it could. It tried to bury them. It wrapped the eggs in layers of fibrous tissue, creating hard knots called granulomas. Imagine the liver, once a soft, vital filter, slowly transforming into a rigid cobblestone organ. As the scar tissue tightened, it acted like a tourniquet on the entire venous system. This is where the painless habit of the Nile turned into a cinematic horror. With the liver choked off, the blood pressure in the esophagus skyrocketed. The veins there, never meant to hold such force, began to bulge and thin until they had the structural integrity of wet tissue paper. One sudden movement, one cough, and these internal pipes would burst. The pharaoh wouldn't die from a spear. He would drown in his own blood, hemorrhaging internally in a fountain of biological failure that no priest could stop. But the true horror wasn't just found in the river. It was waiting in the stale air of the tombs themselves. For decades, we believed the curse of Tutankhamun was a superstitious myth or perhaps a simple case of ancient bacteria. Forensic analysis in 2026 has uncovered a more complex chemical irony. The very resins and oils used by the embalmers to grant the pharaoh eternal life became the chemical catalyst for a modern mass killing. These organic materials, sealed in a vacuum for 3 millennia, didn't just preserve the body, they created a hyper-concentrated nutrient broth for Aspergillus flavus. When Howard Carter's team breached the seal in 1922, they didn't just disturb a king, they inhaled a concentrated cloud of aflatoxins. These aren't just spores, they are potent chemical weapons that trigger immediate, massive liver failure and pulmonary edema.
The irony is suffocating. The preservatives intended to protect the king's flesh became the poison that struck down his profaners. The tomb was a biological trap, set not by a magician, but by the unintended chemistry of mummification itself. The air wasn't just old, it was toxic, weaponized by thousands of years of fungal fermentation. Evidence found through advanced proteomic analysis of 20th dynasty mummies shows that this chronic inflammation wasn't just a side effect, it was a precursor to a specific, brutal form of cancer. The constant tearing and healing of the bladder wall, caused by the parasite's spiked eggs, triggered squamous cell carcinoma. The curse was literally turning the cells of the royalty into malignant, rotting masses while they sat on their thrones. They were living with a cancer that was being actively cultivated by a parasite they invited every time they touched the sacred water.
This wasn't an isolated incident. It was a pandemic of the elite. While the laborers in the fields were exposed, the nobility, who spent their lives in luxury gardens and ritual pools, were hyper-exposed. The very symbols of their status, their private lakes and lush riverfront estates, were the primary breeding grounds for their executioners. We see the climax of this biological war in the heart tissue of the mummified remains. The parasites occasionally lost their way, ending up in the heart or the brain. In these cases, the body's inflammatory response would calcify the heart valves, turning the rhythmic engine of life into a brittle, clicking piece of stone. Why did a civilization as advanced as Egypt succumb so completely to a worm? Because the symptoms were so universal, they were invisible. When everyone is bleeding, blood becomes normal. When everyone is tired, lethargy is just the human condition.
They spent centuries developing spells to ward off demons that could be seen, never realizing the real demon was a translucent 3mm fluke that had successfully colonized their entire population. The tension between their perceived divinity and their biological fragility is the ultimate historical tragedy. They built stone pyramids to last forever, while their own internal architecture was being reduced to rubble by an organism with no brain and no ego. As we look at the blackened, resin-soaked organs of these ancient rulers today, the mystery of the curse evaporates under the cold light of the microscope. The truth is far more terrifying than any haunting. The curse wasn't a choice made by a vengeful spirit, it was a biological inevitability dictated by an organism that had perfected the art of human ruin. The inflammatory response that the body used to protect itself became the very tool of its destruction.
We are left to wonder, if a civilization as grand as Egypt could be brought to its knees by a silent, painless habit, what microscopic predators are we inviting into our lives today under the guise of progress? Is the next ancient curse currently incubating in our own modern habits, waiting for a future scientist to decode our own biological ruin?